Hello, my friends, and welcome to Simply Hooked, a crochet podcast. I'm your host, Marcy, a crochet designer, mom of two, and creative entrepreneur. Here we celebrate the joy of crochet and talk about what it really means to create a life you love through your own unique gifts. Today, we are diving into one of the most confusing and kind of fascinating parts of crochet culture, the difference between UK and US crochet terminology. I have known about this for over 13 years since I started crocheting, but I really never stopped to ask why. Why is there a difference? Why does a double crochet in one pattern called a single crochet in another? Like, what is the deal? So I'm going to save you a Google search and break it all down. So grab your yarn, settle in, and let's unravel this together. Okay, so here's what's wild. Crochet didn't always have two competing languages. Back in the 1800s, crochet, as we know it, was really taking off in Europe. In 1844, Frances Lambert published My Crochet Sampler, which is one of the earliest pattern books, and she used terms like plain single crochet and plain double crochet. A few years later, other designers were doing the same thing, but they took out the word plain, and so it just became single crochet, double crochet, and treble, or triple. So when these books first crossed the Atlantic, American magazines reprinted them exactly as they were. Same name, same stitches. But over time, US writers started thinking, hey, maybe there's a different way to describe this. And that's when things started to split. Here is the short explanation. British designers named stitches based on how many loops were on the hook. And US designers started naming stitches based on how many yarn overs you did for a stitch. So, for example, if you insert your hook and pull through, you've now got 2 loops on your hook, right? Yarn over and pull through both of them, and boom, you've now got what the UK calls a double crochet, but what the US calls a single crochet. Okay, so once you get that logic, the rest of it starts to make sense. So like, for example, a US double crochet has 2 yarn overs, but the UK calls this a treble crochet because it has 3 loops on the hook. So neither side is wrong, they just measure it differently. It's loops versus yarn overs. So why does this matter for you? Especially if you're a beginner. Well, the stitches themselves are identical, but the names are not. And if you follow the wrong terminology, you can end up with a piece that is completely the wrong size. Imagine reading 2 double crochet in the next stitch and working US double crochets when the designer really meant UK doubles. I mean, that's a huge height difference. So always check the pattern notes. That's the best way to avoid confusing these. All patterns should say this pattern is written in US terms or UK terms. I'm also going to include a link in the show notes to a chart that breaks this down. These are very helpful to have on hand. It just lays out UK terms and US terms side by side. So you might want to print that out and just have it handy in your crochet corner in case you ever run into this. But I mean, this was something I really had to start thinking about because I sell digital patterns, which are available, internationally. So it's not just people in the US buying them. The people in the UK buy them. And I mean, God bless them. They would, if they're used to, if you are a UK crocheter and you're used to reading UK written patterns, then if you buy mine, it's probably a little frustrating because you have to do the translation on your own. So I definitely understand that. I'm curious though, if anyone from the UK is listening to this episode, Are all patterns in the UK written in UK terms, or do you see a lot written in US terms? I'm just curious, like, are UK terms like the precedent there, or do you see US terms more? I'm just curious. So whether you count loops or yarn overs, you are part of a tradition that crossed continents and generations. And the important thing is that we keep stitching, sharing, and learning from each other. If you're like me, I was fascinated to finally learn this just a couple weeks ago because I had someone from the UK join my new school community, which everyone should join, by the way. I'll include a link in the show notes for that as well. But she had just started, and I thought to myself, oh gosh, like everything I teach is in US terms. But since she lived in the UK, I just wanted to make her aware that patterns may be written differently there, and the crochet terms are, completely different. So, and I just didn't want her to be confused. And that got me thinking, gosh, why are they different? And once I found out, I'm like, oh, that's actually a pretty fun fact. So I hope you all enjoyed learning about this today. If you found it helpful, share it with a crochet friend. I think they might enjoy knowing about this. And as always, visit marcymade.co for crochet patterns, kits, and my Learn to Crochet course. All right, friends, I will see you next week.